exercise we're going to talk about is the plank. What a great exercise the plank is, because it really challenges every muscle on the body. It's an isometric contraction, so there's no range of motion. So it can be pretty much done by mostly everybody because there's not a whole lot of range of motion. That's not to say that it's an easy exercise to execute. And as you get better and better at it, you can hold it for longer and longer. So when we do a plank, we want to make sure that we're, first of all, in correct position. So as you can see, Tim's elbows are right underneath his shoulder blades. His feet are together. His back is nice and flat. His shoulders are on his back, so he's not, he's not squeezing his shoulders back, but he's not hunching his shoulders up either. His glutes are nice and tight, and he's really holding this nice straight position. I also want to point out that his shoulders, his hips, and his ankles are all in the same plane. Go ahead and relax for a second. When we do the plank, it's very important that we have the correct shoulder position. So you don't want to be hunched in the plank, and you don't want to be too open in the plank. You want to find that neutral space, just as if you were standing up and walking around. That's where you want to be with your plank position in the upper body. As I said before, plank is not an easy exercise, and it does take a long time to build the strength to be able to hold it for long periods of time. So there are some modifications. The first modification would be a push-up plank. So instead of Tim being on his elbows, Tim's going to go up onto his hands. So now the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders are taking up the brunt of the weight, instead of just being on his elbows and having the shoulder take most of the weight. So as you can see, he's got a little bit more help or assistance when he's up on his push-up plank. Should Tim need even further assistance, he can drop his knees down. So as you can see, when Tim dropped his knees down, he did not change the slope of his body. So he didn't dip his hips down or push them back up, but he just pulled the knees down. So he's still engaging this part of the core. If Tim wanted to go ahead and do this back down on his elbows, he can keep his knees where they are down still, and keep the body nice and flat. So you're going to want to push down a little bit more, and good, keeping that body in as much of a plane as you possibly can. And then go ahead and take it up one more time to a full plank. As you can see again, his shoulders are nice and flat. So if Tim was to do this incorrectly and make his shoulders they're concave, this is a classic sign of him sagging through the abdominals and using too much back. Now if he was to hunch it up and round his shoulders, you'll be able to see that too, because this part of his back would sort of be a hunchback position. So when we cue this exercise, very important, here they are. There's three things. You want to make sure your abdominals are up and tight. So it's like you had somebody's hand underneath you. You're going to pull away from their hand. The shoulders are on the back. That means they're not squeezed too tight together, and they're not hunching over. And the last piece is that he keeps his glutes engaged, and he keeps everything nice and flat. So he's keeping his shoulders, hips, and ankles all in one line, in one plane. This exercise is a great exercise, again, to use as you intersperse it throughout your workout, but you can also, the best place to use it is in your abdominal series. So anytime you're doing crunches, you may want to flip over and do some plank. You may want to do some oblique work, some bicycles. There's all sorts of stuff, but going into that plank is really going to get people's core strength and their balance and control improved over time. And that is